This is a story about how my wife and I unintentionally became minimalist, lived over a year without our stuff, and ended up loving it. And I want to share with you some of the key lessons that we learned from that experience. But first, I have to tell you how we accidentally got here. So let's go for a walk and I'll share the story with you. So, we all have our pandemic stories. What happened in the pandemic, how our lives were changed from that. And frankly, that is how all of this began for me. I live in a ski town, a place that people go on vacation. And during the pandemic, because people were able to work remotely, all of a sudden my town became very popular. And while I had owned my house almost 20 years, it probably took 15 years for my house to increase in value by about 50%. And then the pandemic happened and the price started going up. And my wife and I said, you know what, the kids are off to college. This would be a good time to sell our house. So we got our house ready to sell. For anybody that's done that after living in a house for almost 20 years, you know how much junk and how much stuff that you had. So the first summer when we went to sell it, unfortunately, or actually in hindsight, fortunately, the house did not sell. But we got rid of a lot of stuff and we got prepared for the next summer when we were going to list it again. So that was the summer of 2020. And so in the summer of 2021, things were really heating up in the real estate market. So we were pretty sure we'd be able to sell our house. So we got rid of even more stuff. Frankly, it was really hard. We had the kids come and look at what stuff they wanted to keep, what stuff that we could get rid of. And we basically told them, we would pay for storage for a couple containers, but not an unlimited supply of containers. So that was kind of hard for them. At the same time, my wife was getting ready to retire. So there was this unexpected confluence of events that led to us, actually, we ended up selling the house. My wife had retired, and again, it's weird how all these things come together. A year or two earlier, our Labrador, our family pet, had passed away. We had her, Crystal, for over 15 years. We were lucky that she lived that long. But she moved on, and so we were dog free. And my wife really missed having a dog. And so she decided in retirement, she wanted to house sit / dog sit for our friends with dogs. And that was going to kind of be her fun job. At the same time, we had a chance to sell our house, so we sold the house. And we looked, and during the time the house was for sale, my wife was doing some house sitting, and a lot of it was, in our neighborhood and in the town that we live in, or in places where we would go on vacation for a variety of reasons. Also, my wife used to work in the Bay Area, so we spent a lot of time in the Bay Area. And through that, she had a lot of dog sitting gigs. We looked at this and said, why rent? Why sign up for another 12 months? Was like an unlimited supply of people that wanted my wife to watch their dog and stay at the house. The pandemic was going on, so I didn't have to go into the office as often. And we said, let's do it. So instead of downsizing to the point where we would live in a one-bedroom apartment, or a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, really downsizing. Our house was kind of big. It was 5,000 square feet. So originally we thought we were going to downsize to like 2,000 square feet. And then we looked and said, there was such demand for dog sitting. Let's do this. Let's try living a year without having a house. It wasn't anything that we had planned on doing. It just kind of came together. So we kept downsizing, kept getting rid of stuff. Eventually we got to the point where we could easily fit all of our stuff in 100 square feet storage. And truthfully, we probably could fit all of our stuff in less space than that, probably half of that space if we wanted to. But why, right? I mean, we could easily get the stuff that we wanted by doing that. So anyways, that's how the whole journey began. I want to share with you the process, kind of what we went through. I shared with you it was kind of a 2-step process. We thought we were going to sell the house. One summer it ended up not selling, and that was a good thing for us because prices, believe it or not, went up like another 40 or 50%. So we're glad we weren't able to sell, but You know, we had so many clothes. I never realized how many clothes I had, and my wife had more clothes than I did. I had a ton of files. I mean, from undergraduate, you know, from when I was 22 years old, and soon I'm going to be 60 here. So that was a lot of stuff, a lot of paperwork that, you know, I just kept because I had room for it. And so we got rid of that. We digitized the important documents, the things that we still needed, things like our closing documents on our houses, tax, stuff like that. So we digitized all of that stuff. Same thing with the photos. We had boxes and boxes of photos, and young people today aren't going to have that problem, obviously, because everything's already digitized for them. But we went through that. Again, I have two daughters. We brought the girls in and said, you know, what do you really want to keep? And, you know, they were like, oh, I want to keep my bedroom set. And it's like, no, you know, it's really like keepsakes. It's, you know, maybe some artwork that you did in first grade, or, you know, a pottery project that you made, stuff like that. So fortunately, we had time because the house didn't sell the first year, and we knew the market was heating up, and so we were going to sell it the next year. So we had time to let our girls kind of go through things. Like I said, you know, I'm not a true minimalist because we do have our stuff in 100 square foot storage. So that's how we accidentally became minimalist. And you know what? It was a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable than I thought it would be. And so here's some of the key learnings for me. First, you know, I always felt like my stuff kind of owned me. I didn't know if I was happier to have my stuff, or, you know, if I was sad to have my stuff, just because of all the work and maintenance and storage it takes to keep stuff. And it was very liberating, actually, getting rid of some stuff. And there were a couple hard moments, but not as hard as I thought, you know, kind of parting with some things that were memories. I took some photos of them. You know, I told my wife, I told my kids about the story of them. And my kids didn't want it, and so, you know, I just had a photo of it, and that's going to be my new memory. But I've really enjoyed not having to take care of stuff. Another thing that worked in our favor was the fact that my wife had just retired, and so we sold our house in the summer of 2021. And so our year of living without a house was really that summer of 2021 to the summer of 2022. When my wife had first retired, we were dog sitting, and we really enjoyed that life. And like I said, there was an unlimited supply of people that wanted dog sitting and house watching in our neighborhood. And one of the things both my wife and I said was, you know, we want to have pets in our lives. Now, unfortunately, pets really tie you down, but they also bring a lot of joy. So we're either going to have pets in our lives through our kids' pets, or maybe occasionally house sitting and taking care of their pets. The other thing was, this whole process was harder for my daughters than I thought it would be. You know, the house that they grew up in was really important. One of my youngest daughter has kind of moved on from that, and she's lost that kind of desire, that need to go home and have that home base, if you will. My older daughter still is grappling with that, so she hasn't completely gotten comfortable with the idea. Let's see, what else? And you know, interestingly, one of the things I realized is my wife and I were bigger consumers than I thought we were. You know, once you get rid of your stuff, it's very liberating. And before you buy more stuff to fill up, you know, more room, you have a sense of how liberating that is. And you ask yourself, you know, do I really need this specialty tool in my kitchen? Or, you know, can I get by with a tool that I already have to get the same job done? You know, I like avocados. You know, there's an avocado de-pitter. But you know what? The method I have of using a knife and preparing avocado works just fine. So I don't need those things anymore. Let's see. So where are we now? So we downsized from 5,000 square feet to 0 square feet, really 100 square feet. To 1,500 square feet. So we're back in a townhouse now. We consume much less stuff, and I think we appreciate the stuff that we have more than we ever have. And just as importantly, we don't consume stuff that we don't need. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, you're gonna like this video over here where I talk about 5 reasons to retire as soon as you can. And then also the video over here where I talk about average income in retirement. A lot of people have found that super helpful. If you found this video helpful, as the kids say, thumbs for likes, subs for love, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.